It is 23 minutes after 10 o'clock here inside Brunch. I am Rennie Bishop. Great to have you this morning. We did the lifetime thing. Now let us go over to my next guest, Dr. Winford James, who is a former senior lecturer at the University of the West Indies. I like to call him the political analyst at large or plenipotentiary. I would like to say a very good morning to you. Doctor, how are you?
Good morning, Rennie. Good morning to your listeners.
It is good to hear you this morning. I am hearing a little hollow sound. I don't know if it could be just my connection or if you can get closer to the actual mouthpiece. Maybe you have me on speakerphone and maybe not. I hope it is speakerphone so we can improve that quality.
I'm actually receiving the call on my iPad.
You're on your iPad. I see. Well, my quality. Go on, Mr. Technology. I'm getting not the best quality in the world there, but I can hear you. So let us just get into a couple of things that's before us. I mean, FATCA, which is the legislation that has caused so many problems in Trinidad and Tobago with the opposition. Eventually, the Joint Select Committee, which has been asked for by the opposition and was not forthcoming, the government, some folks say, caved in on this issue of the of FATCA and decided they're going to have a joint select committee after all. What is your take on that, sir? And by the way, Happy New Year.
Well, I am one of the persons who called for the PNN to give the opposition that concession because they had nothing to lose. Remember that the FATCA legislation is politics. And if the government does not have the majority votes that are needed for the practice of the legislation, having to rely on the opposition, then it makes sense for the government to concede and to see where the opposition would take that. Let us see now where the whole nation now knows. The thing has been so politicized. The whole nation now knows that is what the UN basically want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the government has given them. Not only that, then the government started off going to the JSC and then change their minds. It's not a position that they are unfamiliar with. But yes, it's the way to go, and I am one of the voices that have called for that sort of policy.
Doctor, I am having a problem with the quality here. I'm going to try to reconnect, and if I reconnect and I can get you on the cell phone, it would be a lot more appreciated because unfortunately I am not getting the best quality.
I'm going to switch to the...
You're going to switch for me. All right. If you can switch for me, that should make it...
I'm now on the cell phone.
All right. So that sounds a bit better. Thank you so very much. So it is now up to the opposition. It is now up to the opposition. They have what they want. Let us see if there's a further objection, because according to the Attorney General, a lot of the things that the oppositions were asking for while they were absent from the chambers, those amendments have been done. Let us see if in fact this can be done to get it operationalized for the time, as the finance minister said, that is required.
But they have made a case, they have made it's a good case.
Yes.
JSC can bring more benefits, can bring better legislation, can have the opinions of experts, and can take a document to the wider house, the whole house, that is that is better than what they have already agreed to.
Indeed.
So it's just a matter of waiting, but they did the right thing eventually, the PNN government.
I am always worried about commentators or reporters who put things like, somebody caved in. You don't have to cave in. You can acquiesce to something that seemed to make more sense. And I think this is what we're looking at here.
Well, yes, but it's also politics.
Yes, indeed. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I was saying, if you don't have the required number of votes, then you have to make compromises to the people who have votes that you rely on. That's politics. You've got to so articulate and orchestrate your politics that you win over the support that is necessary. Otherwise, as somebody was suggesting, you so adjust the legislation that you remove from it those clauses that require a special majority vote.
Indeed, this is a special majority required for this.
There are some clauses apparently that require that.
But indeed.
So if it,
I said indeed, and sometimes if you look at how they make sausage, you may hate it, but you understand politics is not dissimilar to that, and sometimes the making of the sausage is not as important as the result of the sausage itself.
That's correct.
10:27 on time. We are talking to Dr. Winford James. Talk about the OWTU. They say they have not. They didn't say they have served a strike notice to Petrotrin. We have until Sunday today, but they give an extra 24 hours, so we have until Monday. It looks as though we may have a strike because the last negotiation on Saturday did not bring a result. We are looking at a situation where many said, looking at the finance minister's statement, that there are unresolved matters going on as far as Petrotrin's inability to pay more. There is the question of the 2011-2014 agreement that's before the industrial court, and he implied that Mr. Roger and the OWTU's decision to strike should have been tempered by these realities. Do you concur or at variance?
Well, I don't know what Mr. Imbert means by that. I think the labor union leader, Mr. Roger, is aware of all the information. I mean, who else is as aware as he is? I don't think he's speaking to what Mr. Roger is asking. Mr. Roger is saying, look, it is unconscionable for Petrotrin to offer us 6 zeros. 3 zeros in respect of the first bargaining period, which, by the way, has not been finalized,
right,
as the Prime Minister so perceptibly brought to attention. And, of course, the 3 zeros for the new bargaining agreement. The Prime Minister made the observation, which I thought was pretty smart, that you can't work on the second bargaining situation
yes,
if you don't know how the first one is going to be concluded.
Precisely.
Because what are you going to be relating to? Yeah? And that first bargaining matter is before the industrial court and has been there since 2013. Now, the matter has not been resolved by the industrial court, whose duty it is to solve the matter. So that matter needs to be resolved, right?
Yes, indeed.
Even so, Mr. Roger is saying, how could you dare offer 000, given the arrangements we have had in place since we were in opposition, and we had a kind of a memorandum of understanding? How could you even propose that? And of course, the OWTU counter-proposed 10% for the entire period. Now, what we are having are generalized responses to that counter-offer. And those generalized responses basically say that Petrotrin, given the slump of energy prices worldwide and, of course, in Trinidad and Tobago, given its lack of profitability, given in particular its 50% drop in its income, Petrotrin couldn't possibly accommodate what the union was asking for. In fact, if the union had gone down to 1%, this is something I'm reading, or they didn't actually say that. They only said that given the slump in the fortunes of Petrotrin, there's no way the company can accommodate a wage bill that would rise by, was it $44 million? Or is it $144 million? So they were talking about sustaining an increase currently and in the future. Now, I suppose the actuaries and the economic mathematicians among us can work out what the cost to Petrotrin would be and what the cost to the country would be. I haven't seen that kind of working out of the math, right?
I'm going to explore.
It can be done, yes?
Yes, but I'll explore that with economist Anthony Birchwood, who will be with us this morning. But please,
right?
Yes.
He's a good man to raise that issue with. And so let us work it out and let us see. But how can we sustain it? Because there is a sense in which it is silly to be agreeing to increases which your income cannot afford. I mean, we know that at the home level, at the domestic level, you can't budget to do things and you don't have the funds to support what your budget is for. And so that has to be done. But even if it is done, the union does want something. Let me tell you why they need something. Not only do they want, but they need something. The union was in cahoots with the PNM while it was in opposition. And you think that there should be some political accommodation that results in financial benefits to OWTU. Remember that they are charging that when the PP were in government, the PP had an agenda against the OWTU. Not only that, but they're also claiming, and that's a true claim, that the PSA got 14%, while other unions did not get anything, while you are now saying OWTU should not get anything. So there is evidence in the public domain that there is some kind of antithesis, some kind of bias against OWTU. In fact, and it does look unjust. So the question is it beyond the minds of the bargaining youth, the people who are bargaining for on both sides, to come up with some measure which postpones payment but makes it available when things become much better down the road?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have suggested that elsewhere. I haven't heard anybody comment on it. That's because I suppose they don't want to wait to see things get better, or they don't have a faith in the country that things will get better soon. Because, people have been saying this thing will not get better before 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a short period of time to make the sacrifice for. I say that because if you don't have the money, you just can't pay.
Well,
you must make the case convincingly. Huh?
There are a couple of things here that's confusing. I mean, I had the OWTU Education Secretary, Mr. Warwick, and he said on the one hand, part of the issue they're dealing with is the corruption at the head of Petrotrin that they want corrected. On the other hand, I heard the president of the OWTU, Mr. Roger, say straight up, you borrowed money in order to satisfy the protective service and other people. You borrowed money to do that. Why can you not do that for us? And then you're asking for an understanding that when things get better, you will pay. Is that not tying your hand before you actually encounter the reality, Dr. James?
Yeah, well, I don't know that the government can keep sustaining borrowing to pay off salary debts. I don't know that they can do that.
I don't think so either.
Those things have to be paid off for in a particular time, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we noticed that the government, when it inherited office, had a big wage bill that it had to pay off. They had back pay to pay off.
That they had to
and
borrow
that the back pay, of course, was something occasioned by an action taken, a political action taken by the PP government.
Yes.
To award the CSA a whopping 14%.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have to pay off debt, there are things that can't get done. There are developmental things you can't get into. And then you turn around and you see the government is not doing anything development-wise. It's holding jobs, but you're not even giving that the value that I suppose it deserves. You're saying, look, they're in power for 15 months, and where is the development? You follow what I'm saying?
I follow what you're saying.
So wherever you turn, whatever good you do, you're not going to get any praise for it. You're not going to get the kind of positive vibes that you hope for. So it's a matter of prioritization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so somebody has to explain, how do you give the OWTU workers some increase? How are you able to sustain it in a context where the price of oil is in the early 50s and the price of gas somewhere around $200?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? What kind of magic do you create in order to do this? But it is the approach, it's the attitude. And we are not in the bargaining room, so we don't know what's going on there. And if I was a member of OWTU, if one of the negotiators, I would be looking closely to the attitude. They're representing workers who put them there to represent them. They can come out smiling and say, look, the government has given us 000, and they have told us that they can't afford it, they can't bear the burden, and we understand the argument and we accept and go back to business as usual. That would be nonsensical.
Well,
that would be politically suicidal. That would be stupid, actually.
Some of the... Mm-hmm.
We want a resolution that lets the OWTU keep its integrity intact, keep its dignity intact. I haven't heard anything to suggest that. But what the OWTU has done is to make matters worse by threatening a strike that would cripple the entire country.
And that is what that is where
they... I'm not going to take that easy. Not even me. I'm sympathetic, but I don't want it to shut down my country. I don't want it to imperil economic activity, which which, by the way, is at an all-time low. Well, not all-time low, but it's very low. The levels of activity are not as good as they used to be. And for a company that is not profitable, that the Prime Minister has said is awarding of the Ministry of Finance. You set up a company to make profits and so on. And over time, it has stopped making profits. And there are some questionable policies in the company, which the union warned about in any case.
The management of Petrotrin, indeed. But, Doctor, we're going to have to look and see how that plays out. I'm leaning a little heavy on the time. I'm going to ask you, however, and I concur with you, as I think most of the nation does, we understand that you've got the OWTU making a claim that is in itself understandable. The Petrotrin management making a plain claim, the inability to pay. The government saying that Petrotrin has made very clear to them that any moves and any increase is going to be put at the door of the exchequer. So we have to wait to see how that plays out. I am going to get back in touch with you next week, maybe get you down here in the studio, and we will see by next week exactly how this has played out.
Okay. I shall be available, I think.
I hope you are available. I know your schedule, but I am hoping that you can make that possible. Dr. Winford James, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this morning.
My pleasure.
Unfortunately, I'm roughed up against the clock, so we've got to do a truncated version of what we both enjoy going on with, okay?
But I'm best of luck with Anthony Burchard. I give him my regards.
I surely will. He will be here for 11:15 this morning. Have yourself a wonderful day, sir.
Okay, then. You too.
I thank you so much.